Hello everybody, this video is section 4.2, the natural exponential function. As I explained you all about natural exponential function at the end of the previous video, that is at the end of the section 4.1. It is those functions which have base e. So base e, like we can have any positive number can be used as a base for an exponential function. So here we will be using base as e, so which is approximately this is an irrational number, so it is approximately to the value of 2.71828 and so on. So this is like the approximation is for rounded off to 5 decimal places. So we can write 20 decimal places, or we can write infinite decimal places, but it is never gonna terminate, you know that, because e is an irrational number. So e can also be defined as the value of 1.1 plus 1 by n whole to the power of n as n approaches infinity, that is n becomes larger and larger. So this number e is also defined as the value of, that is the summation of all this would be as n approaches to infinity, the value of this value will be approaching to e. So as n increases, the value will be almost closer to the value that I have written here. So maybe for 20 places, and this can go on, like n can go on up to infinity, and even e can take decimal values, and you can write some long decimal tail, and it is a never ending decimal tail as it is an irrational number, and we can never write it as an exact value. So the natural exponential function is, for the natural exponential function, e is the base. So why do we have to use e as a base for an exponential function? It is like I told you, we basically use 10 as a base, but however certain applications require e to be the best possible base. So we shall study how e occurs, and especially in compound interest, and e does occur in many real life problems, like when we are modeling any disease, or many real life problems pertaining to diseases modeling, and things of sort, like multiplication of bacteria, etc. So e is really essential, and natural exponential functions are really essential. So to define the natural exponential function, the natural exponential function is the exponential function f of x is equal to e over x. So with base e, it is often referred to as only the exponential function. So this is actually referred to as the exponential function, and we can see that e takes value between 2 and 3, right? So e is greater than 2 and less than 3. So the graph of the natural exponential function is also like the increasing kind of lies between y is equal to 2 power x and y is equal to 3 power x. So the graph will lie in between these two graphs. So if we want to check that, so let us go back to the graphing calculator. So we have y is equal to e power x, correct, and that is in the purple line as reflected. So if we have y is equal to 2 power x and y is equal to 3 power x, so you can see that the purple line is in between the green and the gray line. Okay, that's why the graph lies in between y is equal to 2 power x and y is equal to 3 power x. So we can use calculator to calculate evaluate certain exponential functions. So if I do problem number 4 using a calculator, you can do it along with me. I do have a calculator next to me. So the given question is h of x is equal to e to the power of negative 3x. So we have to calculate, use calculator to evaluate the function, as well as approximate our answers to 3 decimal places. Okay, so we have to evaluate at these points. I will do just some of them, like h of 1 over 3 and h of negative 1 and h of pi. So there is another value that you need to calculate, that you can do it using the calculator. So if we have to calculate h of 1 over 3, it is pretty easy. So e to the power of negative 3 times 1 over 3 would give you e to the power of negative 1, and that is nothing but 1 over e, correct? So 1 divided by e is 0.3678. so we are asked to approximate it to 3 decimal places. So 787, so I will write it as 0.368. okay, it is approximately 0.368. So then h of negative 1 would be negative 3 times negative 1, so that is e power 3. So to calculate that, e to the power of 3 is 20.085. So this would be approximately 20.085. We have 855, so I just wrote 3 decimal points. So after 3 decimal point, if you have a point that is greater than 5, you can increase the third decimal number by 1, or if you have the point less than 5 or equal to 5, you can leave the third decimal number as it is. So that is your approximation process. I think you know how to do approximation. So this is h to h of negative pi, that would be e to the power of 3 pi. Okay, so that would give us, if I substitute in the calculator 3, I'm doing it 3 pi, so that is like 12391, that is 12,391.6478. I have 78, so I will make it like 8 6. So this is approximately 12391.648. so this is how you evaluate exponential functions. So coming to the graphing of exponential functions, so like if we have to sketch the graph of say f of x is equal to e to the power of negative x, and g of x is equal to 3 times e to the power of 0.5x. So if you have to sketch this graph, so e to the power of negative x would be 1 over e power x, right? So that is nothing but the reflection of y is equal to e power x. So f of x is equal, if I take f1 of x to be equal to e power x, f of x is nothing but 1 over e power x, correct? So this is 1 over e power x, that is nothing but f of x is nothing but 1 over f1 of x, correct? So this f of x is nothing but the reflection of f1 of x. So we start with the graph y is equal to e power x, and we reflect the graph, this original graph, in the y-axis to obtain the graph y is equal to e power negative x. So this is a kind of a transformation that you can see. And so if I have to plot the graph, I will use the graphing calculator. I do have y is equal to e power x here, so I will e power negative x, correct? Okay, so and this is gone. Okay, yeah, so now you can see the purple color line is y is equal to e power x, and reflection of it, that is the gray color, is y is equal to e to the power of negative x. And you can also see that the domain of f is r, and that is all of the real numbers, right? So the domain of f is r, so this is a never ending process, so it takes all the values of x and all the values of y, and as every other exponential function, it passes through the point 0 comma 1 as well. Therefore the horizontal asymptote will be y is equal to 0, and the range is again, the range will be open interval 0 comma infinity. This is a kind of a special exponential function that is called as natural exponential function. Okay, so the other problem, the other problem of plotting g of x is equal to 3 times e to the power of 0.5x. So we use points to plot that. You can plot this using arbitrary values. Choose values for x and f of x, and connect the points to get a smooth curve. And after you do that, you will see that the domain of g is also r, and the range is 0 comma infinity, and y is equal to 0 is definitely the horizontal asymptote. So I will use a calculator. You will have to do it using table of values. So if you are asked to use the calculator, you can use it. Okay, so here it is. The graph looks like this. Okay, 3 times e to the power of 0.5x. So this can also be used as a transformation of y is equal to e power x. So 3 times e power x would give us yeah, you are like expanding, or what can I say, stretching e power x by 3 units, correct? And also, like, if you are multiplying 0.5 for the input value, so you are moving or shrinking the input value, that is in the x-axis. You are shrinking it by half unit. So this is how you can also look the plots, instead of like using table of values of the complicated graph as this. So you have decimal points and you have to multiply it, and things become a little complicated. Sometimes you think that you will be needing a calculator, so you can use the table of values of e power x and apply suitable transformations to obtain the graph. Okay, so yeah, that goes about graphing of exponential functions. Now coming to the real world problem. So here is an example which tells us how we can apply the exponential model to model the spread of virus. So this is highly relative to the present times. So if an infectious disease begins to spread in a small city of population of 1,000 people. So this is example 3 in your book itself. So if there are number of people is 1,000, or 10,000, your population of the city, and after t days, the number of people who have succumbed to the virus is modeled by the function v of t is equal to 10,000 divided by 5 plus 1,245 e to the power of negative 0.97 t. Okay, so you have to find out how many people are infected, how many infected people are initially there. That is when initial is when t is 0. So let us do that. V of t is equal to 10,000 divided by E of 0 will be 1. So you just have 5 plus 1245. So that is nothing but 10,000 divided by 1250. So using the calculator, 1250, so it would give us 8. Okay, initially there were only 8 people who were affected by the disease. So second question is, okay, second question is find the number of infected people after 1 day, 2 days and 5 days. So how is the time given? Time is given in days. Okay, so we have to calculate V of 1, V of 2 and V of 5. So you can use the calculator to calculate this. Upon using the calculator, we get after rounding of the values, after approximation, we get this to be equal to 21 and this to be equal to 54 and this to be equal to 678. So this is approximation, because if you have decimal, there makes no sense to say that 0.1 people. So it's the in real life people, number of people is counted by natural numbers, so or whole numbers. So you have to approximate it to the nearest value. So and see, that is the graph of the function, and graph this function and describe its behavior. So if I have to graph the function, so let me graph it for you. So y is equal to 10,000 okay, divided by 5 plus 1245 e to the power of negative point, sorry, e okay, e to the power of negative point what was it, 0.97 t. So I will make it as x. Okay, oh, I cannot see the graph at all. Why is it so? Okay, yeah, now I can see the graph. Good. Yeah, okay. So seeing this, looking at this graph, we see that the number of infected people, initially it rises very slowly, and this is clearly it looks exactly like an exponential function. You can see that, and the initial increase in the infected people is very less, and quickly within like maybe 3 to 10 days. So here, okay, 3 to 10 days you have, okay, you have a substantial increase in people, and you have it to be increased to, see, you can see the input value is very less, that you can observe by the distance between the y-axis and the graph, but the output value, you can see it is like, okay, I'm sorry, and but the output value is like it is increasing to a very high extent. Okay, so it has infected like 2,000 people here, and later on it has reached a stagnant position. So it has infected people just in 2 to 3 days. Okay, so this is how the logistic curve, or this is called as logistic curve or logistic growth model. So it, here you can see that it is practically possible, where suppose imagine you have a container, and there is an fermentation process that is going on, and you have external factors also resulting in the growth of the bacteria in the container, right? So if you're modeling the container, it doesn't mean that the bacteria will be growing eternally. So there are some external factors, maybe the temperature or the size of the container, or many things that contribute to the growth of the bacteria, and at a certain stage it will reach the stagnant position, like it will stop growing, and it will grow exponentially and it will stop, as it is reflecting here. It has stopped at 2000. So this is called as logistic curve or logistic growth model. So we usually see this in population growth, whether it is virus or whether it is human population, animal population, anything that where you are counting the number of growth, number or quantity rise. So you see such functions in such models. Okay, so coming back to the exponential functions, we were discussing exponential functions. Now coming back to the application of exponential functions in compound interest. So continuously compound interest. Continuously compound interest. So in the previous section where we discussed about examples on compound interest, we saw that the interest paid increases as the number of compounding periods n also increases. So let us see what happens as n increases indefinitely, like if n never stops. So if we let m is equal to n by r, then a of t will be p times 1 plus r by n whole to the power of nt, right? So that is nothing but p of 1 plus r by n whole to the power of n by r to the power of rt, correct? So but we can write it like that, and we can substitute now what is n by r. According to us, it is 1 plus 1 over m whole to the power of n by r is nothing but m, correct? So that whole to the power of rt. So what is this inside term that we told, like if m increases eternally, it is approximately equal to e, right? So when m tends to infinity, 1 plus 1 by m whole power m will tend to e. Okay, it approaches the number e. Therefore the formula changes to a of t is equal to p times p times e to the power of rt. So this expression gives the amount when interest is compounded at every instant. So this is called as continuously compounded interest. So to define that, continuously compounded interest is calculated by the formula a of t is equal to p e power rt. Okay, where a of t is nothing but the amount after t years, and p is the principal amount. So this is the principal, and e is nothing but the irrational number which approximates to 2.178 and so on, and r is interest rate per year. This is the interest rate per year, and t is time, that is time in number of years. So this is very easy to apply. If we have to solve an example, let us do problem number 33 in the book, or 34. Let us do problem number 33. It may be a part of your homework. This is problem number 33. So if the principal amount is $2,000, so P is $2,000 is invested at an interest rate of 3.5 per year. So rate is 3.5% per year, compounded continuously. So find the value of the investment after the given number of years. So A is equal to 2 years. So find it after 2 years. So applying the formula, we get A of t is equal to P times e to the power of RT, correct, where R is nothing but 3.5 divided by 100. So that would be 0.035. Okay, so this would give us 2000 times e to the power of 0.035 into 2. So that would be, if I have to use the calculator here, e to the power of 0.035, sorry, 0.035 times 2 into 2000. So I will be getting 2145.016 dollars. So this will be approximately equal to this. And you can do the same for the rest of the years, 4 years, and I will just do this one, and the rest you can do it by yourself. And I think you will have to do it for your homework problem. Times 4, so that is 2000 e to the power of 0.035 times 4. So if I use the calculator, e to the power of 0.035 times 4 would give me just a moment, would give me 1.150 and something, times 2000 will give me 2300.54 so on and so on dollars. So make sure you write the unit, whether if it is an amount or time or whatever, you have to write the units next to your answers. So make sure you write that. So your quiz, time for your quiz 4.2.1. Okay, so the quiz would be this time I'll make sure I will assign in ascending order. So problem number 8, okay, where you have to graph the function, and also problem number, okay, so this is a problem that I'm framing now. So this is problem number 12 with a twist. This you can just write the number as number 2. Okay, so this is if you are given f of x is equal to minus e power minus 6. Calculate f of pi, f of e, f of 0.5. Okay, so calculate this. So this is a question framed by me now. You just have to number it as 4.2.1 number 2. Okay, and the last question would be on one would be on bird population, so that is problem number 28, and the one on the compound interest, so problem number 34. So this completes section 4.2. In the next section we will learn about logarithmic functions. You will see how exponential functions and the natural exponential function is related to logarithmic functions. They are the inverses of each other. You will see that, and how to apply that, and what are the uses of it, and how does the graph look like, as well as how to analyze the graphs, and how to relate it to the natural logarithms, and what are common logarithms, and all those things we will learn in the next set of videos, that is section 4.3. Thank you for listening.